Hey, what's up gamers? Oh, the early 2000s. It feels like yesterday when I'd sit down in front of my bulky old TV, boot up my original Xbox and just have fun playing for hours. Those late night gaming sessions, the green glow of the Xbox startup screen, and the joy of discovering a new game for the first time. You know, back in the day when you had a new game, you played it over and over again because you hadn't so many choices as today. And I must admit that it was better. Today I have tons of games, but I don't know what to play and get bored so quickly. But maybe that's just me. I want to take you back to those golden years of gaming and share 11 games from my classic Xbox experience. These are games that I can still feel when I think about them. Now this list is personal, so if I miss your favorite Xbox game, and I surely did, let me know in the comment. This game was pure chaos, in the best way possible. Conker, Live and Reloaded, was a remastered version of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but it wasn't just a visual upgrade, it was Rare's cheeky, crude humor polished to perfection. The story follows Conker, a full-mouthed red squirrel who just wants to get back to his girlfriend after a night of heavy drinking. But of course, it's never that simple. Conker ends up fighting zombies, dodging war-hungry squirrels, and yes, battling a literal pail of singing poop. Rare pushed boundaries with its absurd humor and wild scenarios. Gameplay combined platforming, puzzles and combat, with some truly unique moments that stuck with me. And let's not forget the multiplayer mode, which was completely reimagined for the Xbox. Whether it was storming a beach or defending fortresses, the multiplayer was so much fun to play with friends. For me, Conker was about the laughter. Even now, I can still hear the hilarious dialogue and that cheeky British humor. It's one of those games that feels like it shouldn't exist, but thank God it does.
Well, yeah, anyway, I gotta go now.
You're like the rest of them.
I had to put on the list Panzer, Dragoon, Orta, a game that brought on-rails shooting to a whole new level. I remember the first time I booted it up. Those visuals, even for the early 2000s, were very impressive. The skies, the fantastical landscapes, and of course the dragons were stunning. You play as Orta, a young woman imprisoned and then freed by a mysterious dragon. Together, they fight against the oppressive empire. The story was rich with lore, giving glimpse into a mysterious post-apocalyptic world filled with ancient machines and secrets. It wasn't just about shooting, it was about being immersed in a world unlike anything else. The gameplay was smooth and intense. You could switch between 3 different dragon forms, each with unique abilities, adding strategy to their relentless action. But it wasn't just the mechanic that stood out, it was the feeling of soaring through the skies, dodging enemy fire and unleashing devastating attacks. The game felt like a work of art. The combination of its haunting soundtrack and surreal world created an experience that has stayed with me all these years. Few games captured the rebellious spirit of the early 2000s like Jet Set Radio Future. Now, this game had style, pure, unapologetic style. With its cel-shaded graphics, vibrant cityscapes and thumping soundtrack, it felt like you were stepping into a living graffiti mural. The story is simple but effective. You're part of the GGs, a gang of graffiti tagging rollerbladers fighting for freedom in a dystopian Tokyo. The corrupt Rokaku Corporation wants to control the city, and it's up to you to skate, tag and outsmart their forces. Gameplay was a mix of rollerblading, graffiti tagging and battling rival gangs. The controls were sleek and pulling off tricks, while tagging walls made you feel like the coolest kid on the block. And let's not forget the soundtrack, a mix of J-pop, hip-hop and electronic beats that became the heartbeat of the game. This game was pure joy. Every time I booted it up, I felt like I was part of something bigger, a movement, a vibe, a celebration of creativity and rebellion.
Performance at Shibuya Terminal with encores at Chuo Street and in Rakaku Dai Heights.
Midtown Madness 3 might not be the most groundbreaking game on the list, but it holds a special place in my heart. Sometimes you just need a game where you can hop in a car and drive recklessly through the streets of Paris or Washington, D.C. I lived in Paris at that time, so for me it was very immersive. And I remember playing this game with my dad, good memories here. The game had a story mode where you took on odd jobs, pizza delivering, chauffeuring, you name it. But let's be real, the real fun was in free roam mode, where you could just explore the city, find shortcuts and cause chaos. The gameplay was pure arcade fun, the handling was easy to pick up, and there was nothing more satisfying than drifting through a tight corner or smashing through barriers to discover a hidden route. This game wasn't trying to be serious, it was just about having fun, and for that, it's one of my favorite memories from the Xbox days. Blood, gore and vampires. What more could you ask for in a game? BloodRayne put you in the role of Rain, a half-vampire femme fatale who sliced through Nazis, supernatural monsters and anyone else who gets in her way. The story was pulpy but engaging. Set in the 1930s, Rain works for the mysterious Brimstone Society, tracking down occult artifacts and stopping the rise of Nazi supernatural army. It felt like a mix of Indiana Jones, horror and comic books all rolled into one. The gameplay was fast-paced and visceral. Rain could dual-wield guns, slice enemies with her blades, and even suck their blood to regain health. It was over the top in the best way possible. Sure, BloodRayne wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. It was stylish, gory, and just plain fun. It captured the edgy vibe of the early 2000s and gave me some of my most satisfying vampire slaying memories. Ninja Gaiden Black. This was a real test of patience, skill and determination. Team Ninja took their already brutal 2004 Ninja Gaiden reboot and refined it, creating a punishing yet incredible, rewarding experience. You play as Ryu Hayabusa, the ultimate ninja out to avenge his clan and recover the stolen Dark Dragon Blade. The story, while straightforward, was more of a backdrop to the game's insane action and relentless pace. It wasn't the narrative that pulled me in, it was the feeling of being a total badass ninja, once I finally mastered the controls, obviously. The gameplay was fast, precise and downright addictive. Every enemy encounter felt like a chess match, requiring you to time your attacks, block and counter perfectly. The variety of weapons and combos kept things fresh, while the challenging boss fights pushed me to my limits. And let's not forget how smooth the combat felt. Team Ninja absolutely nailed the mechanics. Graphically, the game was stunning for its time, and the level designs were as immersive as they were unforgiving. But what made Ninja Gaiden Black so special to me was how it rewarded perseverance. No game made me feel this proud of my victories. Every time I beat a level or took down a tough boss, it felt like I had conquered a mountain. By the way, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is now available on PS5 and Xbox Game Pass, so check it out. Project Gotham Racing. This was the game that made me fall in love with stylish driving. Bizarre Creations introduced the kudos system, which rewarded you for driving with style, whether that was drifting, power sliding or pulling off clean lines through tight corners. The game featured real-world locations like San Francisco and London, which felt incredibly lifelike at that time. And then there was the car roster, iconic vehicles like Ferraris and Porsches that handled beautifully. What stuck with me was how the game encouraged me to get creative. It wasn't about brute speed, it was about flair and finesse. Combine that with the sense of progression and unlocking new cars, and you had a racer that stood out in a crowded genre. This was one of those games I'd lose hour to, just trying to perfect a corner or rack up kudos points. Even now I feel a pang of nostalgia every time I heard the name Project Gotham Racing. Alright, let's talk about Grabbed by the Ghoulies, a game that didn't exactly light the world on fire critically, but is one I still hold dear. Rare, known for their hits like Banjo-Kazooie and Conker, created this quirky, spooky adventure that felt like a light-hearted horror movie brought to life. The game follows Cooper, a young boy trying to rescue his girlfriend from a haunted mansion filled with, you guess it, ghoulies. From skeletons to zombies, the mansion was packed with creepy creatures, but the game's cartoonish art style kept things from being too scary. The gameplay was simple but fun. You'd take on rooms full of enemies using whatever weapon you could find. Chairs, pools, queues, even your fists. It wasn't groundbreaking, but the charm of the game came from its atmosphere and humor. Rare's signature wit was present in every corner of the mansion. What made this game so nostalgic for me was the vibe. I had it as a demo first, and when I finally had the money, I bought it on sale. It might not have been Rare's best work, but it was a delightful romp that I remember fondly. This is where it all started. Forza Motorsport was Turn 10 Studios' answer to Gran Turismo, and it did not disappoint. What set it apart was its perfect balance of realism and accessibility. Whether you were a hardcore racing fan or just someone who wanted to take a Ferrari for a spin, Forza welcomed everyone. The game boasted a massive car roster for the time with over 200 vehicles to choose from, and every car felt unique. The customization options were incredible. You could tune every aspect of your car to match your driving style. The tracks were a mix of real-world circuits and original designs, and the attention to detail was jaw-dropping. But what really stood out was the damage system. Unlike other racers at the time, Forza introduced realistic damage that affected your car's performance, adding a layer of strategy to every race. For me, Forza Motorsport was a revelation. It laid the foundation for one of the greatest racing franchises of all time, and I'm so glad I was there to witness its birth. Fable was magic, plain and simple. Lionhead Studios promised a revolutionary RPG where every choice you made would shape the world around you. While the game didn't quite deliver on all its ambitious promise, what it did deliver was an unforgettable experience. I already mentioned Fable on other videos on my channel, so you can understand that this one is special for me. You play as a young boy who grows into a hero or a villain, depending on your choices. The story begins with tragedy as your village is destroyed by bandits, and from there it's up to you to forge your path. Will you be the noble savior or the ruthless conqueror? The gameplay was a blend of combat, exploration, and moral decision-making. The world of Albion was vibrant and full of life, with quirky characters and beautiful environments that felt straight out of a fairy tale. But what really stuck with me was the sense of growth. Watching your character age, gain scars, and even change appearance based on your alignment made you feel connected to the journey in a way few games could achieve. Fable wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. It was charming, imaginative, and gave me a world I loved getting lost in.
Hey! Woohoo! Yeah!
Sega GT 2002 might not have the same name recognition as Forza or Gran Turismo, but for me it was just as special. Sega brought their own flair to the racing genre, creating a game that felt both fun and authentic. The career mode was the highlight. You started with a limited budget, buying used car and working your way up the ranks. There was something so satisfying about tuning your car, saving up for new parts, and slowly building your dream garage. The graphics were impressive for the time, with cars that looked sleek and realistic, and the tracks, while not as flashy as those in other racers, had a charm that kept me coming back. There was an ambience really peaceful, and I remember the soundtrack, the music so relaxing and immersive for me at that time. What made Sega GT 2002 so nostalgic for me was how grounded it felt. It was about the joy of driving, upgrading and working your way to the top. So, here are 11 games from my original Xbox experience. They were memories, adventures, and a huge part of what made me fall in love with gaming. I could mention many other big franchises. Halo, of course, Fusion Frenzy, Shenmue, and so on. Let me know in the comments which Xbox classics you remember fondly. Did your favorite make the list? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't hesitate to like and subscribe to never miss my next ones. Well, until next time, happy gaming everyone, bye bye.